Hello, everyone. If we haven't met before, hello, you guys. I'm Mackenzie, and I work on inFlow's partnerships team. And today I'm joined by Kevin from our sales team, who's going to help out with some moderation. And then we have some special guests from Stocktrim here to help out. So let me hop into it here. What we are going to cover today is inFlow and Stocktrim. So we're going to kind of cover reordering, forecasting and demand planning. And we'll talk through the inFlow side of things and how to get it optimized in inFlow. And then if you kind of need to go a little bit further than that, that's when it would be a really good idea to check out Stocktrim. And we have some special guests here to tell us more about it. But let me get started here first. So we're going to talk about why is all of this important. I think if you sign up for this webinar, you probably have an idea of some of the reasons that you might be joining and what you're looking to get out of it. I'll walk through inFlow's options for reordering and forecasting, and then we'll let Stocktrim take over and talk through what it looks like doing it on their side. So why is this all important? Well, it really comes down to making improvements in these areas are going to help you to optimize your cost and work more efficiently. You can better maintain your budget, right? So you're going to know when to scale your operations, when if you have seasonality or, certain times of year tend to be busier in your business, then it's going to help you to plan accordingly and then also identify trends that you might not know about. You're going to be able to reduce your costs because you won't have to throw through those last minute orders and you won't be sitting on inventory for longer periods of time, accumulating storage costs. And they might be less direct for your business, but it's the space that you could have done something else with, right? And then finally, you're going to improve your customer service too, because if you have the right products available when people want to buy it, we all know that's one of the most important parts. So on the inFlow side of reordering, I'm going to guide you through some quick ways to do this. I'm not going to go super like demo accounty, but I'm going to give you guys the rundown. Within inFlow, we know you can really easily set your reorder points by location with the reorder method of your choice. So in this case, if I'm in the web app, I'm on my product record, it's as easy as going to edit reorder settings. You're going to be able to dial in there, choose the reorder setting per your location so that each location can get replenished appropriately. And then when I click into a location, I'm able to set my method, right? So some items may come from a purchase order, others may get stock transferred from my main warehouse, or some items might be coming through as a work order or now named manufacturer order as well. And you're able to set those reorder points and quantities for each location. Now, once I've done that, inFlow is automatically going to give us those reorder notifications. Of course, you can set the frequency of your choice, but that's the way to get it all going. Reordering is pretty much one click from this point. So as your orders affect your quantity available, inFlow is going to recommend to do your reordering at this point. And I know this is the basics. I know you guys know this, but wanted to walk you through it for the, set the stage. There's also some reports on the inFlow side that really support with reordering, forecasting, and demand planning. And it's these four: the estimated inventory duration, the recommended reorder point, inventory aging, and stock reordering reports. If you have a different favorite report, feel free to shout it out in the chat. Or if you really don't like the reports, you can put it there too. I'll listen today. I'm just kidding. I'll listen any day. If you hop into these reports, right? So estimated inventory duration, based on that averaging period of your choice, it's going to show you when your current stock levels are anticipated to stock out. So as you can see in my demo account, I don't do too much, unfortunately, but I had to set a 300-day averaging period for demand. But as a result, you can see some of my inventory is going to last me a very, very, very long time. Like these inner tubes, I'm going to be holding on to until October 2179. So that would be an item that I should really put on sale because I'm not going through them fast enough. I'm going to throw out here too For all of these reports, it's really important to make sure you add your vendor lead times. So in your vendor record, you can set a default lead time to use across all of your vendors' products, or on your product record, you can set a per product vendor lead time from each of the vendors that supply that product for you. I love how these look with the rounded corner. It really came out nicely. Yes, so that one is the estimated inventory duration report. So that's the one that is going to show you the date that it will run out. Exactly. And if you run this in an account that's, not a demo account that's active, it's going to show you much more useful information. But I like to use that one as my recommendation for not just the stock out date, but also like kind of the reverse of aging. Some of the other reports, so recommended reorder point. So based on the averaging period of your choice and a safety stock percentage that you've put in, inFlow can recommend a reorder point based on your historic demand. And this is one where you'd really want to have your lead time in already, so that way it can calculate appropriately, because it'll use the vendor lead time if you don't have a product specific one. In this case too, it kind of shows how with these items, they use an alternative unit of measure, and inFlow still comes up with something that is actually reorderable because it's converting those units of measure. The recommended reorder point is one that's handy to run because there isn't an aspect of seasonality in inFlow. It's a great one to rerun often to see if there's any changes and to double check, say you have ramped up the lead time, or not the lead time, sorry, the reorder point of an item, 2 weeks later, a month later, depending on what volume of inventory you're moving in general, it's a great one to come back and double check to see how that performance has been. And then our last super key one is inventory aging, which is that quick overview of all inventory that hasn't moved in either 30 to 60 days, 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, or 90 plus days. Now, this one is one that shows all of your inventory through these 4 kind of views, right? So say there's an item you've been holding on to a lot of, but maybe it's serialized, and for some reason you notice that the 90 plus day items are significant, and so are the 0 to 30 ones. That might be a time to say, okay, like, why am I sitting on so much of this serialized item? Like, why aren't they moving more quickly from, my 90-day plus units? And that could be like a pick and pack kind of thing to optimize. But in general, I would say if anything's at that longer time frame that you've been sitting on it, it's time to look at how much it's costing you to hold on to it and see if there's another way to move it more quickly. And then last, the stock reordering report. Will it ever be able to be location-based? Well, I'm not going to say never, but I'll say it's not something that I think is happening tomorrow, but I think that that's a report that I would be happy to submit that feedback to the team on, and we'll see how much noise I can make. I'll do my best, Brody. Like, let me bring that back. Oh, the plus thumbs. You guys are good. That's a good one too. The more plus thumbs, the better. Just saying. So stock reordering, it's your total stock available, your reorder methods, and your anticipated quantity based on any open orders that you have but haven't received yet. So this one can also kind of help with just making sure that what you have coming in is as expected. And this kind of gives you the holistic view of, here's what I have now, here's what's coming, and here's what I'm anticipating needing. So in this case, right, I don't have any of this hand cream in stock at the very top. I'm anticipating that I'm going to need 2,100 units, and I definitely need to reorder 3,000 that if my reorder point is 150, and I've been moving them like that significantly. Oh, 3 thumbs up. Okay, this is a good amount. Oh, shout out to Kevin for logging the feedback. Awesome. So that's kind of the summary of what's happening in inFlow for reordering and demand planning. I didn't want to go too in depth because if you want to go further than this, this is when I'm suggesting it's time to look into Stocktrim, have a look around. So I'm going to pass it over. We have our two friends, Aga and Neil, joining us from Stocktrim. They're here to share some more. So I'll let Aga take it away.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, Mackenzie. And thanks for giving us the opportunity. And thanks everyone for joining. So my name is Aga. I look after partnerships here at Stocktrim, and we have Neil who'll be running through the demo of Stocktrim for you guys as well. Just to give you some context here, and great points, Mackenzie. Really nice sort of features in inFlow. So what actually Stocktrim does is pretty much takes what's in inFlow, for example, in terms of reorder points and seasonality and the inventory aging, and pretty much expand that for example, to give you a very holistic view of what your future inventory should be looking like. Stocktrim started about 8 years back. We are a New Zealand-based company. Our mission from the get-go has been to actually make it really, really easy for the customers to use Stocktrim and to do inventory forecasting and ditch the spreadsheets, obviously ditch the manual work, pen and paper, and come onto the system and see what it can actually do. Stocktrim, what we call is a very smart sort of a data analysis and inventory forecasting and / demand planning system. It is an add-on, obviously. So if you're already using inFlow, all you really need to do is actually connect it via API. And Neil will show that to you how that works, and just get going pretty much, in a very easy automated onboarding process, and it comes with an affordable monthly subscription, right? Why is Stocktrim good for SMBs? That's the target market, obviously, that we sort of go after. As I said to you, it attaches to the some type of an IMS. I mean, you can use it as in a standalone system as well. If you're comfortable importing and exporting CSVs, that is fine. But obviously, if it is connected to a system such as inFlow, it just works wonders, right? So you don't have, it's pretty automated. All the data that comes out of your inFlow account comes into Stocktrim, and then you can just obviously go in and work within the Stocktrim and tweak some numbers and play around with it. What Stocktrim actually solves is the critical, supply chain issues. We do come across, and you might have obviously in your experience as business owners, you might see that you have a lot of stock, that's sitting in your warehouse, in your store. Obviously, it's aging, and you don't know what to do. For example, how to get rid of it, or how to plan for the future as well. Actually, right? So that is the main issue that we sort of see, and that was the co-founders Dom and Paul when they started this company and the software. And Dom used to actually own a toy store as well, so he sort of went through the same pain of actually having all that stock in his and not actually do proper planning for future. It obviously gives you business efficiency, how to plan properly, gives you accurate and fast, very specific numbers to work with. It kind of includes all the, the seasonality and depending on your business and what your operations look like. So you can run those scenarios in Stocktrim, right? So it kind of obviously makes sure that, you get your return on your products and the sales and the purchasing and everything, and it just improves the efficiency in that manner. It is a cloud-based system, obviously, so it is scalable, mainly targeted toward SMBs, So it's minimal training required, obviously, to come onto the system itself. Very easy to set up, and again, we'll show you a little bit later. As I said to you, just made that point. It's pretty accurate in terms of what it can actually project into the future. It takes the 2 years data in the past and project that into, you can set the frequencies, monthly, quarterly, 6 monthly, yearly, and so on. Some of the trickle-down effects, obviously, that the SMEs actually do see, and these are tangible results. And this is a feedback that we have received from our customers who are actually all using Stocktrim. Up to 40% savings in working capital, average 50% reduction in stockouts, and to 75% in purchasing and admin time. So that's quite significant if you sort of allocate that time so much into your admin time into planning and forecasting, and there's a lot of uncertainties. Obviously, you have so much to take care of in your business. So Stocktrim actually solves that issue and just makes it really easy. Just one less thing to worry about, if that makes sense. Where does Stocktrim actually sit? Just to give you some visual representation here. So if you're on one of these, if you look at the left-hand side, if you're using one of these accounting platforms, for example, you're on QuickBooks, inFlow would be sitting on top of your accounting platform, let's say. And then that inFlow would be your source of truth. So all the information will come from your account in inFlow. And then Stocktrim on the right-hand side will pretty much add on and expand that functionality extensively and give you accurate results. Most of our customers, believe it or not, we're a Kiwi-based company, but most of our customers actually are in the US up to 40%. The rest of them are primarily in Australia and APAC region, Australia and New Zealand, some in UK, and a couple and down in South African region as well. It's not really a region specific. So if you are anywhere else in the world, you can actually still use Stocktrim. So there's no limitation on that. Some of the industries that we target: retailers, manufacturers, wholesalers, and different industries. So this is just to kind of give you some sense of who we cater to. Just some very high-level features I just wanted to mention here. It's got intuitive order plan, detailed demand analysis, manufacturing features, so ability to forecast new products, variable lead times, multiple locations. You can manage automated purchasing. Obviously, you can create purchase orders, send them into inFlow as well. Customer forecasts, product forecasts, reordering schedules. You can actually bundle up the customer, the groups by product as well, and do the inventory planning based on that as well. And you can also do different type of rankings as well. In the back end, we don't want to cover too much of AI stuff here, but it is a machine language actually that's working behind the scenes. And there's partially AI as well, and we are working towards some exciting new stuff that links into just to make it intuitive for the customers and actually produce some results based on machine learning language actually. We can show you this at the end. Yep, I think I just wanted to cover that, and I just want to hand it over to Neil now, just so I can give him a bit more time, so he can cover the basis of Stocktrim and for the Q&A.
So this is what Stocktrim looks like. This is what you will see when you register for a trial account. So I'll quickly just go through how you connect to inFlow, and then show you the order plan. Talk about the key data points that we create for you by default, and then just quickly go over some of those more advanced features that Aga talked about. So this is the demo data that you'll see initially. We want you to come to load data, scroll down, find the inFlow icon, which is over here. Open that up. All we need is your company ID and a free API key. Tick all the boxes down the left-hand side here and hit load, and then that will bring across all that information that we need in the first big sync, and then after that, going forward, we will just bring across. We should only really need going forward products, sales orders, and new purchase orders. So that first sync, depending on the number of SKUs, amount of sales history, that might take probably no more, hopefully, than an hour, just depending on the size of your data, and then you will see your SKUs. Our initial default calculations will show here. And so we will have automatically analyzed, and we'll be showing you, what are your top 10 fastest moving SKUs, what are the top 10 most urgent to reorder, what are your most stagnant SKUs, and also some very basic profitability analysis as well as summarizing up here which SKUs have currently got excess inventory, the value of that excess inventory, and most importantly, which SKUs have got a stock out risk. And so these are the ones we really want you to focus on, because these are the reordering or manufacturing production kitting quantities. So this is the dashboard. You'll spend a lot of time, or most of your time here in Stocktrim, on the order plan screen, which is the next level down, and we'll just drop down to there. So on each major page, we've got an interactive tour feature and also tutorial videos that go over the major functions. So we do encourage people to use those, because they can cover off in a more calmer manner than me explaining on screen, how to go through each section. But what we show here for every SKU at the bottom of the screen, I'll just collapse this tutorial section. is a row of data for every SKU and the default recommendation for what to do. So ultimately, the core data point that we are creating for you in Stocktrim is this number down the right-hand side, which is a recommendation for what to do for the next time period that you want to look at. So if this number is red in this right-hand column, it's a call to action for you to do something. It's probably either going to be a purchase order or a manufacturing, assembly, bundling, kitting order, whatever that term is that you use. It's a quantity of stock that you need to take some action from. So if it's red, you need to do something. If it's green, like we've got for these two SKUs down the bottom, it means you've currently got excess stock for that next time period that we're looking at, and we're not recommending that you have to make or reorder that product. So it's a very, very clear binary recommendation about what to do. You either need to do something with that stock, or you've got excess and you don't need to do anything as of right now. At the top of the screen here, we've got some examples of how we do bill of material structures. So this can be for manufacturing.
Neil, we do have a question from the chat here.
Yes.
From Brody. How well does that import handle stock that has been added manually instead of from a PO?
Any stock quantities in inFlow will come across. So if we'll read the current on-hand values and any on-order values that are currently within inFlow.
Yeah, if anything, I'm just going to throw out there, I think it would just be as long as to make sure you've manually added a cost so that Stocktrim knows the value per item. But that's the only thing I'm really foreseeing as like a potential manual touch. So,
yes, yeah. We need to see. If you have a default cost and a default price value, which I'll show in a second, then we will work out, for example, the current value of the stock on hand. So in this case, these clips are $5 each. We've got almost $8,000 worth of clips on hand. So this is how we do bill of material structures. So these are components. In this case, they make up a finished good, which is a tent. Here's my production or manufacturing recommendation for how many tents to make up for the next time period. And then I can, in this case, this is now top down. I can then explode that out and see all the components that go into making up that finished good. So this is, in this case, this is a one-to-one relationship. These products are only used in this tent, but these products could be used across multiple finished goods, for example. So no matter what that bill of material structure is that you've got in inFlow, we can bring that across and show that here. So that's BOM structures. And this.
We did have one question, Neil, about is Stocktrim best or only for companies that have bill of materials with their products?
No. So we can also just do straight wholesale, import, retail, distribution type companies. So here, for example, here's a water bottle that I'm just buying in and reselling. So doesn't need BOMs at all. We're just forecasting for its usage. So this is just a straight purchase order recommendation here. And sort of related to that, we also do what we call parent variant structures. So here's a parent shoe code, for example, and I've got all this color size combinations that sit underneath that once that decides to show up. So I like to say that we can do all the three sort of basic forms of product type. So here for the water bottle, that's just a standard SKU we're buying in and reselling. Here's parent variant structures. So I've got color size combinations here. We're producing individual recommendations per color size variant. And then we've got bill of material structures here that we can do. So no matter what your products, if it's, as you've demonstrated, just buy and resell, we can do that. If there's BOMs, we can do that. If there's lots of colors and sizes and combinations, we can handle those structures as well. Okay, so what that looks like at the individual SKU level, just jumping down. So this is the third level deep within the system. So as Aga said, we can bring in up to 24 months of sales history. That's represented by this blue line here that gets run through our algorithms to produce this pink line, and that goes out 24 months in advance automatically. That's our sales forecast, what we think that you should be able to sell going forward if you've got the inventory available, which is the state we're trying to get you to. You can manually override that forecast at any time if you disagree with what we're forecasting for. So if for example, you've got an upcoming sales promotion and you want to sell, 300 jackets here in August instead of the 85 we're forecasting for, you can always come in and overwrite that forecast as I've just done here. And then, so the default is that we're looking at the next time period. So in this case, that would be 40 days, but I've overridden that in this case, and I'm now looking out for almost, what's that, 5.5 months of potential sales. So in this case, I want to place one order to cover me for this 160-day sales period. So that goes, so we work out what the sales are over the next 160 days. We look at what's on hand. We build in some buffer demand, and we take into account the parameters for ordering and holding this SKU. So in this case, the MOQ 60, jacket comes in a box of 5. That's our reorder multiple. And I always want to keep at least 50 units available. So we take, these are hard parameters we have to take into account. And then we produce this number here, which we can then turn into a purchase order and push back into inFlow for you to process as you normally do. So this is the primary data point that we will always create for you, and we want you to spend the most time getting correct. It's all about trying to get this number here as accurate as possible for you, so that you can make good purchasing and manufacturing bundling decisions from there. What we've excuse me, what we've introduced recently now, as Aga mentioned, is the ability to now look out multiple regular cycles into the future and work out what we think you're going to have to do on those cycles going forward. So in this case, this graph and the system is trying to work out every 60 days from now what we, what our suggestion, for you to reorder this product is going to be. So here, for example, our quantity today is this quantity here. 60 days, it's order another 50. Another 60 days on top of that, it's order 60. Another 60 days. In this case, now we're out to November. Order 490 at that point, and we work out what we think your stock on hand will be at that point in time as well. So this is long-range, multi-period forecasting with recommended order quantities at those dates in the future, and you can set those up, to be different time periods as a result. And this is all done, at the SKU level if you want to apply this level of multi-period forecasting. But as I said, it all starts here for the next time period, giving you a recommendation to do from there to create, this order plan screen where you can see, what to do. And we automatically, can break that information down. So if you just want to look at your excess stock, we can go here. If you just want to look at SKUs to reorder, you can go here. Slow moving SKUs, you can look at most stagnant, for example. So there's a lot of automatic analysis that is done, by default. We can also do forecasts by location. So this, for example, go back to here. This is what I term the global level forecast for the business as a whole. But if you want to look at a specific, distribution center or store or warehouse or your headquarters, we can, as long as that product data and that sales data is in inFlow, we will bring it across automatically and create default forecasts for each location. We can bring in up to 5 levels of categorization. So I'm not sure how many levels you've got within inFlow, but we will bring across category and subcategory if those are available. And then there's another 3 levels that you can apply to give you more filtering, features and drill down capability here in Stocktrim, and we can go through that, on a call once you've got your data in, if that's something you want to use. So that's sort of 95 to 99% of what you will do within the system, apart from creating purchase orders. But that's a pretty simple process. It's all about getting your data in, creating the initial forecast so you can see what you have to do, for example, right now for your SKUs, to meet the demand over the next time period. And that's what we really want you to, get used to, make sure you're comfortable with, and then you'll start to see the benefits that Aga outlined from there. I'll happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, we do have one in the chat here. Sorry, Kev, I stole your thunder. From Noah here. So are you able to link SKUs together? So in their case, they produce 8 SKUs all at once using a co-packer, usually once a month.
So we can. So we've got the forecast groups function. So in this case, I think I've got. So in this case, I've set up groups according to some of my categories. So let's look at what I've got under clothing, search for that. So there's 2 ways you can use forecast groups. You can look at them you can see them by SKU. So it's basically almost like creating a watch list of products. or you can look at them by the group as a whole. So in this case, here's all my forecast groups. Here's my recommendation for what to do for, so for sports, for example, I've got 25, well, that's the number of on hand I've got. This is a recommendation for what to do for all those SKUs as a whole, to, how many items you have to buy across all the SKUs within that group as a whole. But we probably don't have enough time to go into that in great detail. Again, within the system, there is tutorial videos to go through that. So I encourage people to do that. Is that answering the question, or are you meaning more sort of parent variant groups where you can, where you might have color size combinations that you want to see an overall total for?
I'm sure Noah's going to write back and let us know. Nope, that's great. Wow, great answer. I actually came up with one question that I was kind of curious about. So when we're looking at when you go into analysis, we're looking at the order plan. Like, how long of a history of data is required for someone to get useful recommendations out of Stocktrim? Like, how much data do you need?
Ideally, we'd like to have a few months. So in this case, for example, we might have had a big stock out here, and so the forecast isn't really generating that well off only 1 or 2 months worth of sales data. Let's find a better one to look at. Here's my windbreaker jacket. That's always a good one, I think. So if you can give us, say, 6 to 12 months worth of sales history, that's enough for us to start to see the seasonal trends and produce a solid forecast going forward. If we do have a feature that we call linked demand, so if I had an older jacket or another product that sold in a quantity that I wanted if this was a new product, for example, I can go options, link demand to other products, search for that old SKU or current SKU that's currently selling, and bring in that sales data from that product to then create this blue line over here. So that's sort of what forecast groups does in bulk. So if you're phasing out one range and bringing in another, that's what forecast group was designed for. But you can also do it at an individual SKU basis. Here, for example. So if you're only bringing in 1 or 2 products and they're phasing out older products or the new variants, this is how you can do link demand to fully populate out the sales data for us to use.
That's really awesome. I really like that way that you can link in something that you're discontinuing to kind of carry that value over. It's super streamlined.
Yes. Yeah.
And then anything else top of mind for anyone in chat? We have a little bit more after this, not much, but what if the item is just, hey, Julie, do you mean if like you've deactivated the SKU in inFlow? Yeah, the items you're trying to link. So that is a good question. So I think it's unlikely that Stocktrim is pulling in our deactive SKUs. Matt, we will send out a recording for sure. But to pull in deactive SKUs, I think we'd have to check and see if they're being pulled in or not. So we might have to get back to you on the exact answer there. But any options for like, I mean, I guess, Julie, you could manually activate the item in inFlow, which is not ideal before you do it. And then you guys have the set as discontinued in the Stocktrim side.
Yes. Okay. So after the first sync or ongoing at any point in the future, you can always go and what we call discontinued or hide a product in the background, and then you won't see it by default here on the order plan because we only look at current products by default. You can always go back and find them under discontinued or and turn them back on if needed. But yeah, you can always turn off and hide them in quotation marks. And then discontinued products don't count towards your subscription plan. So if we do pull in all your discontinued SKUs, then yeah, you can very quickly turn them off and just focus on the ones that you really want to use Stocktrim for.
Awesome, thank you. And Julie, I'll find out for sure the way to do it and make sure that we get you the exact answer. But you've got it there. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. So as I mentioned, they're out of New Zealand, so I made them wake up super early today to come and speak with us. So really appreciate you both joining. And thank you so much to all of our attendees for hanging out with us and learning more. And thanks, Kev, for moderating, of course. It's been so fun. And this is our first time doing kind of like a joint webinar. So if you have any feedback on the webinar, feel free to share it again with successor support at inflowinventory.com. Or you can email me, Mackenzie at inflowinventory.com, and tell me what you think. I'm happy to hear it. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been really insightful, and I hope that you're all feeling passionate about clearing out all the inventory that might have been holding on to for too long. And we hope to do some more kind of co-webinars in the future. So if you have any ideas, again, send them my way. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. It's just beginning. And then for everyone in North America, I hope this was a great, 45-minute afternoon, and that we'll see you all very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.